Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dallas Daily Show coming at you from the Neighborhood Loan Studio here in St. Louis, Missouri. It's my favorite time of the week. It is a Mind Shift episode. And as we're moving into the end of what we would call quarter two here in your life and in your business, kind of toward the end of June, what we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about quarter three and what that is going to look like for you and how to gain some real clarity on who you are, where you want to go in your life. So today's topic in the Mind Shift is all about clarity. Let's go ahead and get into the conversation. All right, everybody. So here in these Mind Shift calls, we're talking a lot all the time about the two potential future yous that are out there. There's a future you want to avoid, and there's a future you that you want to embrace, okay? So this future version of you that you want to embrace, this is when you think about your ideal future, this is the version that fires you up. You've got the health, you've got the wealth, you've got the relationships, you've got the peace of mind about life. You're able to look back on your life and say, man, that was a life well lived. I so enjoyed that. And even the parts of the journey that were hard, I'm able to now look back at with gratitude and positive emotion and say, yes, I moved in the direction of who I wanted to become. That's the future us we want to embrace. On this side, though, is the future us we want to avoid. This is the version who's dumb, sick, broke, unhealthy, full of rage and anger, and more than that, full of regret. That's the version of us that we want to avoid. So this future you is out there and exists in two potentialities, like we always talk in the Mind Shift. And the present is actually what you're doing in the present is fed by how you've believed in the past, but also what you're doing in the present is going to put you on a trajectory toward one of these two potential future realities. The future you want to avoid, the future you want to embrace, the future you want to ultimately become. And we talk about this all the time, so none of this should be new for you guys as you're listening to today's Mind Shift episode. I will say, quick plug, quick hello on this is if you are interested in walking out the Future You program that we have, it's called futureyou5day.com. That's futureyou, the number 5day.com. And literally we walk you through how to visualize and emotionalize and vocalize this and create a power script and what to happen when you get triggered into old beliefs and old behaviors. And it's just 30 minutes a day. 5-day program. So if you're interested in that, but today we're going to talk about something slightly different. We are going to frame it all within this concept of future you, but we're going to talk about what clarity looks like as you aim toward this version of who you want to become. Now, what's great about clarity is this can be applied to your business. So like when we start thinking about the vision for our business, right? And we work with maybe a consultant or we read a couple of books from business gurus, one of the first things they say is you want to know, what do you want your business to look like a year from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, et cetera. We do that all the time in our business. Right? And when we get into even like weight loss programs, one of the first things that they have us do is they say, hey, what do you want your goal to be for this next 12 weeks? Or what do you want your body to look like in the next year, 3 years, 5 years, etc. See, it's implied in all of our society. Take it to money for a second. Let's go to an investor. You sit down with a financial advisor. What's the first question they ask you? Hey, if they're starting like, what's your asset base now? It's not a good financial advisor, I'll tell you. But if they're like, hey, let's talk about what you want your life to look like in the next 10, 15, 30 years from now. What do you want your retirement to look like? They're starting you on the right path because they're anchoring you to a future point that is an idealized outcome that you imagine. They're anchoring you to a future point in your life that has an idealized outcome in your imagination. They're looking at future you. Your business planner is helping you look at the future of your business by an idealized outcome based on your imagination. The health coach, same thing. The counselor, the relationship coach, same thing, right? The parenting coach, same thing. All of these people are helping you look at this idealized outcome based on your imagination of the trajectory you want to set for yourself for the next 1, 3, 5 years. I call it clarity, but it's the same thing. Now, I like to use the metaphor here, and there's multiple steps to gaining clarity, and we're going to talk about them here in the rest of today's Mind Shift conversation. But there's multiple ways to gain clarity, but one of the things that I find to be really fascinating is the story of JFK and we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. So take yourself back to the 1960s. When we start to think about what clarity looks like, and again, I'm doing this timed out with we're reaching the end of June and we have 6 months left in this year, right? So let's get clarity of what the rest of 2025 is going to look like for you. But in the 1960s, JFK came out and he made this comment. He said, we were in this space race against the Soviet Union at the time, and one of the things was who's going to make it to the moon, right? The Russians were already winning the space race, but who's going to win the moon race, right? That became a big thing. But everybody thought it was impossible until all of a sudden JFK is like, we're going to put a man on the moon. But by the end of this decade, we're going to put a man on the moon. We're going to do the hard things. We're going to ask the hard questions and blah, blah, blah. That's a terrible JFK impression, but nevertheless, that's what he did. And he inspired a nation. He found, they founded the moon program through this, and a nation worked and rallied around this big dream that was out there. Whoa, this big dream, land a man on the moon, right? So the dream exists way out here. And one of the things we need to know about the dream is, yes, it should inspire us, but it's also kind of amorphous. Like, we don't understand all the hows at that point. But we get really excited about this dream that exists 3, 5, 10 years out there. Like, this is what my dream life could potentially look like. So we've got that out there way out in the future, the dream. And again, think about this in your world, because we want to gain clarity and we're going to work it backwards. So what happened was the dream of we're going to put a man on the moon then got painted with this vision. So it starts as a dream that's kind of inspiring and amorphous, but then we start to put a vision out there, which is like, oh, yeah, what's the vision going to look like? It's going to raise us up to a different level. And the vision, he said, by the end of the decade, we're going to do this. So the vision starts to put in place a little bit of a timeline for us. And then from the vision, now they could not go from landing pad to the moon in one shot. That wasn't what happened. They had to then walk the clarity back a little bit more. All right, so they started with this big dream. By the end of the decade, we're going to put a man on the moon. It was inspiring. It was heartfelt. It inspired people. And then they started to ask the question of how. How are we going to do this thing? And that's where they had to start to build a clarity strategy. And we're going to talk about what that strategy is so that by the end of this episode, by the end of this conversation today, you're going to be able to lay out, oh, this is what I want the dream and the vision and all the other steps to look like. We're going to do that here in just a moment. But first, just take a moment right now and anchor to this dream life, this future you that you want to become. Who is this person? How does this person think? How do they believe? How do they behave? How do you feel about them? Is this future version of you, is it inspiring for you? If your future doesn't inspire you, when you think about it, then you don't have the right picture of your future, because it means you're being held to a lower level, a trajectory that you don't want to go toward. If the future that you imagine, the future outcome that you've imagined, if it doesn't inspire you, then may I say that it's not quite yet the right future picture for you to aim toward. So we're going to get into all of the rest of this in just a moment, because what we're going to realize is the mind shift is going to help us so grab a hold of this future dream that everything we build puts us on that trajectory to land the man on the moon in our own lives, if I can say it like that. But before we get into that, let's have a word from our sponsors. This episode of The Mind Shift is actually brought to you by the Shed Fat Fast program. Look, if your belly has been hanging around like it pays rent, it's time to listen up, my friends. Joel Staley,
His Shed Fat Fast program has helped now over 1,400 professionals drop 25 to 50 pounds within 12 weeks. I am not kidding, 25 to 50 pounds within 12 weeks. And he uses a specified fasting protocol that actually works. No 16 and 8s and none of that stuff. No weird shakes, no rabbit food, no 6 tiny meals nonsense. I'm in the program right now, and trust me, it's not hype. It's results. And I still get to eat my ribeye steaks. So go ahead, hit up shedfatfast.com right now for a free training that Joel has. Again, that's shedfatfast.com. And when you reach out to Joel, be sure and let him know that you heard about it at the Dallas Daily Show. A big thanks to Greg Iverson and his all-star team at Neighborhood Loans. They're the official studio sponsor of the Dallas Daily Show and the Midweek MindSHIFT series. My friends, whether you're looking to buy your first home, whether you're refinancing your dream home, or if you're looking to get into acquisition or management of investment real estate, Greg's team, they're the real deal. They're fast, they're kind, they provide coaching and training for you, and most importantly, they actually return your calls. That's huge, right? And even though we're here in the St. Louis, Missouri area, Greg's team works nationwide. So be sure and check them out. We've got them in the show notes, but theiversongroup.com. Again, that website is theiversongroup.com, or just give them a call at 314-658-9400. Again, that's 314-658-9400. It's time to invest in your future with the Iverson Group.
Okay, so let's get back to this idea of gaining some clarity. And again, it starts with this inspiring dream that's a little bit amorphous. We just know we're driven toward it. And there's ways that we can visualize a future us that should inspire us. And it's really the things of, you almost have to go back in your memory as a kid, right? So take it back to what we were saying here about JFK. They would look up at the stars and they'd be like, whoa, what would it be like to live amongst the stars? And as kids, we imagined that. And JFK tapped into that childlike imagination to then project people toward a future potentiality, a future you they wanted. But he was able to do it by tapping into childlike imagination. So in your own world, really quickly here, we're going to get into the steps in just a moment, but in your world, when you think back, what were some of the things that inspired you as a kid? I had a huge imagination. I used to go on these big adventures in the woods behind our house. And there was things that inspired me about what I wanted to do. There were people that inspired me. I wanted to be like, I remember Gatorade did this whole campaign, or was it Wheaties? Anyway, they were both for Michael Jordan, Be Like Mike, when I was growing up. And I knew just about everyone I knew. We had a Nerf basketball rim in our rooms and that we could slam, and it was the spongy basketball, and you could hang it on the back of your bedroom door. It had Michael Jordan's signature or Michael Jordan's number and name and face on it. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. They drank Gatorade because Mike drank Gatorade. They ate Wheaties because Mike showed up on the Wheaties box. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. But it was a driver toward a bunch of millions of kids to actually pick up a basketball and actually start doing the thing. So think about that. What was the stuff that inspired you when you were a kid? And now you think to yourself, boy, when I'm older, I want to be rich, or, I want to have healthy, or maybe you saw a relationship, you're like, I don't want that. I want a good relationship with my spouse. Like, I want this, I want that. A lot of us wanted, what was that other game we used to play, MASH, where it was either a mansion, apartment, shack, or house. You'd have the little thing that you could like flip and fold. And then you choose what car you want. You want a Ferrari or a Porsche or a Lamborghini or what, like, that was the thing, and you'd count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you'd figure out your whole life. We did that because we wanted the mansion, the Lamborghini, the healthy wife, and 3 kids, and this much money in the account. Right? We had a vision, but it was amorphous. And now as we've aged a little bit, we became, quote, more realistic. But what if there was still a version of us that we were excited about becoming? Maybe it's to be a better parent. Maybe it's to be a better spouse. Maybe it's to be financially secure when you talk with your financial advisor, which is why you work with them. Maybe the reason you get a fitness or a health coach is because you don't want to be on all the pills and all the medication. And instead you want to be healthy, happy, whole. Maybe the only thing that should drive you forward is to be able to lay your head down at night with peace of mind saying today was a good day. And it wasn't a perfect day, but I still was a good person showing up in it. So maybe, I don't know what it is that drives you, but we want to get real clarity about this. And it's just this starts as this dream, but then we start building it backwards. And there's 3 steps to build it backwards. Okay, I'm going to tell you all 3 now, and then we're going to explain them. So you go from dream to vision, from vision to mission, and from mission to strategy. All right, so the dream is amorphous and it's out there 3, 5, 10 years from now. The vision is, what do I want my life to look like in the next 1 to 3 years? Like, what do I want it to look like? Spiritually, physically, professionally, and relationally. Those 4 areas. We talk about them all the time on this. Spiritually, physically, relationally, and professionally. What do I want my life to look like in the next 1 to 3 years? That becomes your vision. The vision drives toward your dream, right? But then you start saying, what needs to occur? So in the same way that JFK said, we're going to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade, he said, we're going to do this. And then everybody said, well, we can't go from A to Z, right? We can't go from 1 to 100. What do we need to do? And they started they backed it up from dream to vision, vision to the Apollo missions. And each Apollo mission was designed to do something different. Hey, we got to get up into orbit and we got to land again safely. Hey, we got to go in the deep space and we got to be able to return. Hey, we need to be able to orbit the moon and then come back. Hey, we need to be able to put the lander down and then come. Every mission had its own thing. But they were able to say mission accomplished, vision achieved, dream fulfilled. Okay, so dream, way out there, to vision, 1 to 3 years. Now what you're going to do is you're going to start thinking your mission is what you're going to do in the next 4 quarters of this year, 1 year. Now we start looking within the 12-month thing. And to gain real clarity of what is it I want to do. Well, I want to run a marathon in the next 12 months. Okay, that's your vision. Your vision is in 1 year, I will run a marathon. So what do you need to do in Q1 to get ready, Q2 to get ready, Q3 and Q4 to get ready for quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4, to get ready to actually run that marathon in 1 year? Well, I should probably start with just getting off the couch and getting on a treadmill, right? It starts maybe there, like, oh, this in 12 weeks, I'll run a 5K or a 10K. I'll register to do blank. What you have to do is you have to start building backwards. And it takes just a little bit of thinking about it at first. Then what you do is, if let's say you say in this next 12 weeks, in this next quarter, I've got to lose 20 pounds and I've got to run a 10K. That's your goal for this first 12 weeks of this year, to get ready to run that marathon. Back it up. Then what you do, if that's your mission, lose 20 pounds and run a 10K. Then you back it up one step further. What are going to be my strategies to do that? And the strategies are the daily and weekly steps that you have to accomplish. One of our sponsors here of the MindShift call is the Joel Staley Shed Fat Fast program. He helps busy dads lose 25 to 50 pounds in 12 weeks without giving up the foods they love and without becoming a gym rat. Yes, he uses fasting protocols, but the way that he uses accountability and community is even stronger, because he knows the strategy. Start you with a shorter fast, then maybe you move to OMADs, then you try a couple of longer ones, and then we go for a long one, and then we pull it back a little bit, and then we find their rhythms, and there's coaching calls, and there's all this stuff. That is the strategy for those 12 weeks. And you follow his workout regimen, you do all the stuff, right? So that becomes your mission for that 12 weeks, but then you have to have the mission in place for the next 12 weeks. Now I'm going to go from a 10K to maybe a half marathon. Oh, and now I'm going to start adding some weight training back. I need to lose a little. Like, you just build up to whatever the vision is for the year, and every quarter you put in place stuff, but you have to keep in mind there are small little strategies. The problem is most of us start our transformation journey with the strategy in mind. I'm just going to make sure I get in my, I'm just going to start walking around the block once. Well, what good is that going to do on the rainy day when you don't want to walk around the block? What good is that going to do on a day that your legs are tired? If you're stuck in strategy, which is where most people do, they get stuck in strategy, which keeps them in these small short-term cycles, and they're not anchored to a bigger mission, a bigger vision, and a bigger dream, then the clarity around the strategy gets muddy the moment you get into pain, the moment you get into frustration, the moment you don't have the good day. You lose the larger picture because what's the old saying? You lose the forest for the trees. You're literally standing in front of this tree trunk of frustration, and you've lost the bigger picture because all you've done is focus on one tree. So what you and I have to do if we want real clarity is we have to lean way out in our imagination 3, 5, 10 years from now and go, okay, what does my dream life look like in the next half a decade? Then I start going, okay, now from dream to vision, what's the next year going to look like for me? From vision to mission. Now I need to break this up into what am I going to do this quarter in the next 12 weeks? And then from mission, to strategy. What are the steps I need to do today and this week to walk out so that I can say success today in my strategy, mission accomplished this quarter, right? Vision realized and dream fulfilled. That's how you work it. You work it out going forward, but you have to plan it going backward. And in doing that, there's this beautiful, virtuous cycle you create in this relationship with future you that actually becomes inspiring to you. And when you're feeling frustrated, you say, hey, future you, what would we do here? And your future you would go, Dallas, you'd get up and do the thing you said in your strategy today. Because you know that the step is going to get you to the mission. The strategy is going to get you to mission accomplished, mission to vision realized, right? Vision achieved and dream realized. That's ultimately how it works. So dream to vision to mission to strategy, and then you walk it out, strategy to mission to vision to the dream fulfilled, till you ultimately arrive at the future you want to become because of the trajectory you've put yourself on in your present moment, inspired by the childlike dreams of the past. That's how this works. It's this beautiful symmetry of all three versions of you, my friend. Past, present, and future working together for a cohesive life in which you feel fulfilled. All right, my friends, that's all I got for you today on today's Mind Shift call. The challenge is this. Yes, maybe join the Future You 5-day challenge, but also, if you need to, just figure out your own clarity map of what this next mission is going to look like for you in these next 90 days. All right, my friends, go out there. Have a championship day.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to DallasDailyShow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.